The moon cast its silver glow across the still surface of the lake, a breathtaking mirror that seemed to hold the secrets of time itself. Legends whispered among villagers claimed that the lake was no ordinary body of water. It was a gateway to another realm. Those who dared to dip their toes in its depths could find themselves transported through the ages, meeting versions of themselves they had never dreamed existed. For centuries, the lake remained a curious enigma, its mysteries carefully guarded by those who lived near its shores. Some dismissed the stories as fanciful tales meant to entertain children, while others treated the lake with a reverence reserved for sacred relics. One thing was certain: anyone who ventured too close was forever changed. It was a warm midsummer night when Lena first discovered the lake. She had wandered far from the bustling city, driven by a restless energy she couldn't explain. Her life was a carefully curated collection of routines. Wake up, work, return home, and repeat. Something within her, however, yearned for more, for meaning, adventure, or even a taste of the extraordinary. The lake revealed itself in the twilight, a sparkling oasis nestled deep within a forgotten forest. The air around it seemed charged, buzzing faintly with an energy that made her skin prickle. The story she'd heard as a child resurfaced in her mind, unbidden and vivid. She stood there, frozen between disbelief and temptation. "It's just a lake," she murmured to herself, her voice trembling as if trying to convince her own heart. But the lake seemed to whisper back, calling her closer with an irresistible allure. She stepped forward, the soft earth giving way beneath her feet, until she reached the edge. The water was so clear she could see her reflection perfectly, down to the flicker of doubt in her hazel eyes. Before she could second-guess herself, her fingers brushed the surface. A ripple spread outward, distorting her image until it vanished altogether. The world around her shifted. One moment she was standing in the familiar forest, and the next she was somewhere entirely new. The air was sharper, cooler, and filled with the faint hum of a bustling city. But it wasn't her city, at least, not as she remembered it. The streets were lined with sleek, futuristic buildings that seemed to touch the sky, their glass facades shimmering with unearthly hues. And there, among the crowd, was someone she recognized instantly: herself. Lena stood rooted in place, her heart hammering against her ribs as she watched her alternate self move with a confidence she rarely felt. This version of her wore a tailored suit, her hair perfectly styled, and her expression one of determination. She was speaking animatedly with a group of colleagues, their laughter punctuating the air. "This isn't possible," Lena whispered, yet she couldn't look away. The other her seemed to glow with a vibrancy she had long forgotten, a stark contrast to the restless, uncertain person she had become. 1,000 questions flooded her mind. What was this place? How had the lake brought her here? And, most pressing of all, could she interact with this other version of herself? She took a tentative step forward, her movements slow and deliberate, as if afraid the illusion might shatter at any moment. As she drew closer, her alternate self turned, their eyes locking. It was as if a mirror had come to life. The confident Lena's expression shifted to one of surprise, then curiosity. She broke away from the group and approached, her heels clicking against the pavement. "You're me," the alternate Lena said, her voice steady but tinged with awe. "But how?" Lena struggled to find words. "I don't know. I was by a lake, and then I was here. This place, it's incredible." The alternate Lena smiled. "It is, isn't it? I've worked hard to build this life. But you must be from the past." "How far back?" 2025, Lena replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "What about you?" 2045, the alternate said, her tone growing thoughtful. 20 years ahead. So much can change in 2 decades. Lena's mind reeled. 20 years. The person standing before her was who she could become, who she might become. The weight of it all pressed heavily on her chest. "What happens to me? To us?" The alternate Lena's expression softened. "You find your way, but it's not easy. There are moments you'll question everything. But the struggles shape you, just as the victories do. Before Lena could ask more, the world began to blur. The edges of her vision dimmed, and the hum of the city faded into silence. She was back by the lake, her reflection once again staring up at her. The experience left her shaken yet exhilarated. Questions swirled in her mind, each more urgent than the last. Was the lake a gift or a curse? Could she return? And if she did, who else might she meet? One thing was certain. The lake held answers she couldn't ignore. Lena knew she would return, no matter the cost, drawn by the promise of discovering not only her alternate selves, but also the truth about her own potential. And so began her journey, one that would take her across centuries, lifetimes, and possibilities, as she unraveled the mysteries of the magical lake and the infinite versions of herself that awaited within its depths.